All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of Major Dhyan Chand Sports University at Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. Calls upon youth to consider a career in sports. COVID vaccination of children between 15 and 18 years begins today. West Bengal government imposes new curbs amid Omicron threat. All educational institutions closed. Supreme Court suspends physical hearing of cases for 2 weeks from today. Centre sticks to 8 lakh rupees annual income criteria for reservation to economically weaker section candidates. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha orders introduction of RFID tracking for crowd management at Vaishno Devi Shrine. Civil Aviation Ministry releases draft National Air Sports Policy for public feedback. And in cricket, second test match between India and South Africa begins in Johannesburg this afternoon. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about the new corona variant is a cause of concern. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated and help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, get vaccinated, as nationwide vaccination of teenagers is also underway now. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now, the news. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Janotsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news. And coming to our 41st question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz in English. Name the Indian revolutionary scholar associated with the Gadar party and a professor of Sanskrit and philosophy in the universities of Berkeley and Stanford. I repeat the question. Name the Indian revolutionary scholar associated with the Gadar party and a professor of Sanskrit and philosophy in the universities of Berkeley and Stanford. Listeners can send their response to the question over WhatsApp on 88265 46262, yes, 88265 46262, or through email on Amrit Mahotsav Quiz at prasarbharati.gov.in. Amrit Mahotsav Quiz at prasarbharati.gov.in.
And now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that youth is the cornerstone and also the expansion of New India. Addressing the gathering after laying the foundation stone of Major Dhyan Chand Sports University in Meerut, Uttar Pradesh yesterday, Mr. Modi stressed that for sports in the country to thrive, it is necessary that the youth should have faith in sports and should be encouraged to take up sports as a profession.
आज गांव के पास ही खिलाड़ियों के ये सुविधा दी जा रही है। साथियों, हम जब भी एक नई कार्य संस्कृति को बढ़ाने का प्रयास करते हैं तो इसके लिए 3 चीजें जरूरी होती है। सानिध्य, सोच और संसाधन। खेलों से हमारा सानिध्य सदियों पुराना रहा है, लेकिन खेल की संस्कृति पैदा करने के लिए खेलों से हमारे पुराने संबंध से ही काम नहीं चलेगा। हमें इसके लिए एक नई सोच भी चाहिए। देश में खेलों के लिए जरूरी है कि हमारे युवाओं में खेलों को लेकर विश्वास पैदा हो, खेल को अपना प्रोफेशन बनाने का हौसला बढ़े, और यही मेरा संकल्प भी है और ये मेरा सपना भी है।
The Prime Minister said schemes like Target Olympics Podium Tops are providing all support to top sportspersons to compete at the highest level. The Prime Minister said Khelo India Abhiyan is recognizing talent very early and all support is being given to groom them for the international level.
भारत में स्पोर्ट्स के प्रमोशन और पार्टिसिपेशन के लिए लगातार बड़ी निष्ठा के साथ प्रयास किए जा रहे हैं। टैलेंट की पहचान हो, ट्रेनिंग हो या फिर चयन प्रक्रिया हो, हर तरफ हर स्टेट पर ट्रांसपेरेंसी को प्रमोट किया जा रहा है। इसका परिणाम अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मुकाबलों में भारत के प्रदर्शन में भी आज हमारे लोग, हमारे नौजवान कुछ न कुछ कर दिखा रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Modi remembered Major Dhyan Chand, who was active in Meerut. He said a few months back the central government had named the country's biggest sports award after the sporting icon.
मेरठ देश की एक और महान संतान मेजर ध्यानचंद जी की भी कर्मस्थली रहा है। कुछ महीने पहले केंद्र सरकार ने देश के सबसे बड़े खेल पुरस्कार का नाम दद्दा के नाम पर कर दिया। मेरठ की स्पोर्ट्स यूनिवर्सिटी मेजर ध्यानचंद जी को समर्पित की जा रही है।
COVID-19 vaccination for children in the age group of 15 to 18 years begins from today. The vaccine option for children will be only Covaxin. The Health Ministry has said that all those whose birth year is 2007 or before will be eligible for vaccination. The appointment for vaccination can be booked online or through walk-in. So far, about 8 lakh beneficiaries in the 15 to 18 years age group have registered themselves on the CoWIN portal for vaccination. The registration for this drive began on the 1st of January. All citizens, irrespective of their income status, are entitled to free COVID-19 vaccination at government vaccination centres. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced the vaccination for children in his address to the nation on the 25th of last month.
साथियों, 15 साल से 18 साल की आयु के बीच के जो बच्चे हैं, अब उनके लिए देश में वैक्सीनेशन प्रारंभ होगा। 2022 में 3 जनवरी को सोमवार के दिन से इसकी शुरुआत की जाएगी। ये फैसला कोरोना के खिलाफ देश की लड़ाई को तो मजबूत करेगा ही, स्कूल कॉलेजों में जा रहे हमारे बच्चों की और उनके माता पिता की चिंता भी कम करेगा। साथियों, हम सबका अनुभव है कि जो कोरोना वॉरियर्स हैं, हेल्थ केयर और फ्रंटलाइन वर्कर्स हैं, इस लड़ाई में देश को सुरक्षित रखने में उनका बहुत बड़ा योगदान है।
Our correspondent reports that since the start of the national COVID vaccination drive on the 16th of January last year, the country has administered over 90% of the first dose and 65% of the second dose to its eligible citizens. Talking exclusively to All India Radio News, Chairman COVID Working Group N.K. Arora said the children can also walk in for vaccination today. He also gave words of advice to children going for vaccination today.
It's a matter of great happiness and excitement that today children 15 to 18 years are also starting with COVID vaccination. Till last evening, almost 8 lakh children had registered themselves on CoWIN app. But there is a huge opportunity. From today, children can walk in also to COVID vaccination center. I would request them to have their regular meals. There is no need to go empty stomach. They should carry with them their school ID or Aadhaar card and get themselves vaccinated. And after vaccination, they need to wait at least half an hour at the immunization center because very rarely reactions can occur. In addition to this, I would like to caution all my young friends that getting a vaccine does not mean that you give up corona-appropriate behavior. You should continue to use the mask, apply 2 gaz ki duri, and wash your hands frequently.
Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel launched a statewide vaccination drive for children of 15 to 18 years. He started this campaign from GDM Kobawala High School in Gandhinagar. 50 teams of health workers will cover about 20,000 children of 93 schools in Gandhinagar district. Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandviya reviewed public health preparedness to COVID-19 and national COVID-19 vaccination progress with states and union territories. The meeting was held in view of the rising cases of the Omicron variant and rolling out of vaccination for children and the precautionary dose for identified vulnerable categories. The minister stressed on the continued need to follow COVID-appropriate behavior, along with renewed and stringent focus on containment measures for addressing the present surge.
The West Bengal government has imposed strict restrictions from today in view of fast-spreading Omicron cases. After reviewing the present COVID situation in the state, Chief Secretary H.K. Dwivedi announced that all education institutions will be closed from today. All academic activities in schools, colleges and universities have been stopped. Only administrative activities have been permitted with 50% of employees at a time. Private and government offices will be allowed to function with up to 50% strength. Government and private offices have been asked to encourage work from home as much as possible. Local trains and Kolkata Metro will operate with 50% seating capacity. Flights from Mumbai and Delhi will be permitted on Mondays and Fridays. Moving on, in Bihar, the number of daily COVID cases continues to increase, with 352 more people testing positive in the past 24 hours. The number of active COVID cases in the state has increased to 1,074. A maximum of 634 cases were reported from Patna, followed by 277 at Gaya. Altogether, 84 doctors and MBBS students of Nalanda Medical College and Hospital Patna have also tested positive for COVID-19. Health Minister Mangal Pandey said the state government has planned to complete the vaccination of kids in the age group of 15 to 18 years by the end of this month.
Odisha witnessed a major spike in Omicron infection yesterday with the detection of 23 fresh cases. With this, the total number of people infected by the Omicron variant of COVID-19 has gone up to 37. More details from our correspondent.
With the detection of 23 new Omicron infections in a single day yesterday, the total COVID-19 infection in the state too has shot up to 424. Out of the 23 cases of infection by the Omicron variant, 11 persons are foreign returnees. The State Health Administration is vigorously pursuing the contact tracing of these new cases to delimit the further spread of the new variant in the state. Meanwhile, in the larger interest of the health of the children, the state government has postponed the decision on the physical reopening of about 23,000 schools for standard 1 to 5 that was to be effective from today. Girish Chandradas, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In our bilingual live phone-in program Corona Jagrukta series, tonight Dr. Anupam Prakash of Lady Hardinge Medical College, New Delhi will be with us to answer the queries related to coronavirus. This program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. Listeners can ask questions to the expert from 9:30 p.m. on our telephone numbers 011-2342-1230 and 011-2342-1764.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of Major Dhyan Chand Sports University at Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. Calls upon youth to consider career in sports. COVID vaccination of children between 15 and 18 years begins today. West Bengal government imposes new curbs amid Omicron threat. All educational institutions closed. Supreme Court suspends physical hearing of cases for 2 weeks from today. Centre sticks to 8 lakh rupees annual income criteria for reservation to economically weaker section candidates. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha orders introduction of RFID tracking for crowd management at Vaishno Devi Shrine. Civil Aviation Ministry releases draft National Air Sports Policy for public feedback. And in cricket, second test match between India and South Africa begins in Johannesburg this afternoon. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alert.
जब भाइयों बहनों सरकार की नीयत साफ होती है, सोच ईमानदार होती है, तो काम भी दमदार होता है।
पिछले 4.5 सालों में उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार की ईमानदार सोच और दमदार काम से यूपी बन रहा है नंबर 1। यूपी में विकास होता रहेगा लगातार। सोच ईमानदार, काम दमदार। 2017 से पहले भैंस ढूंढने वाली पुलिस 2017 के बाद अपराधियों को काबू करती है। फर्क साफ है। 2017 से पहले जो लड़के हैं गलती हो जाती है बोलकर छूट जाते थे। 2017 के बाद उन अपराधियों पर होती है कार्यवाही।
Welcome back to the morning news. The Supreme Court has decided to shift to the virtual system of hearing for 2 weeks from today in view of the rising COVID-19 cases and concern over the Omicron variant. The Supreme Court administration said this in a statement issued last evening. The top court had resumed the physical hearing of cases in October last year, prior to which it was hearing cases through video conferences since March 2020 in the wake of the pandemic. The Supreme Court is reopening today after its winter vacation. The centre has told the Supreme Court that it has decided to retain the existing 8 lakh rupees annual income criteria for candidates of economic weaker sections for the NEET PG counselling. In an affidavit filed before the Apex Court, the government said that its decision is based on the recommendations of the expert committee. The centre said changing the criteria midway will lead to complications in the ongoing admissions. The expert committee has recommended that the revision should be implemented in the next academic year. The affidavit filed by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment comes ahead of the hearing of NEET PG petitions in the Supreme Court on January 6th.
Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has ordered the introduction of RFID tracking for crowd management at the Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine. He has also ordered to make booking of Yatra 100% through the online mode for effective crowd and queue management. Mr. Sinha chaired a special meeting of Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board, wherein several important decisions were taken to ensure safety of the pilgrims. The Civil Aviation Ministry has released draft National Air Sports Policy for public feedback. The draft policy is available on the website of the ministry. The policy covers sports like aerobatics, ballooning, drones, gliding and paragliding, microlighting and paramotoring, skydiving and also vintage aircraft. The ministry said the vision is to make India one of the top air sports nations by the year 2030. The suggestions can be sent till 5 p.m. on the 31st of January.
The News Services Division brings you glimpses of the year 2021 in its special year-ender series, The Year That Was. Today we take a look at India's quest for clean and green energy. The Narendra Modi government has taken several steps to promote clean and green energy in the country. In this direction, the government is implementing schemes like Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Mahabhiyan PM Kusum, Solar Rooftop Phase 2 and setting up of renewable energy parks. In his address at COP26 summit in Glasgow last year, the Prime Minister highlighted 5 goals which he named Panchamrit to deal with climate change. Our correspondent reports that during the last 7 years, India has witnessed the fastest rate of growth in renewable energy capacity addition among all large economies, with renewable energy capacity growing 1.97 times and solar energy expanding over 18 times.
India has achieved the target of 40% of its installed electricity generation capacity from non-fossil energy sources, much ahead of 2030 target. The country has achieved this target in November 2021 itself. Now the country's installed renewable energy capacity stands at more than 150 gigawatt till 30th of November last year, while the nuclear energy-based installed electricity capacity stands at 6.78 gigawatt. This brings the total non-fossil-based installed energy capacity to over 157 gigawatt, which is more than 40% of the total installed electricity capacity of around 392 gigawatt. In line with the Prime Minister's announcement at the recently concluded COP26, the government is committed to achieving 500 gigawatt of installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel sources by the year 2030. With Anand Kumar, Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember the first female teacher in modern India, Savitribai Phule, who was born on the 3rd of January 1831 in Naigaon, a small village in Maharashtra. Her life is heralded as a beacon of women's rights in India. She is often referred to as the mother of Indian feminism.
As a young girl, Savitribai displayed a strong sense of curiosity and ambition. However, she was married at the mere age of 9 years to Jyotirao Phule in 1840. Impressed by her enthusiasm to learn, Jyotirao taught Savitribai to read and write. She undertook teacher's training and became a qualified teacher in 1847. Determined to change the condition of women in the country, Savitribai, along with Jyotirao, opened a school for girls in Pune in 1848. She became the first female teacher of India.
Sympathizing with the plight of widows in the country, Savitribai also established a shelter for destitute women in 1864.
Savitribai was instrumental in shaping Satya Shodhak Samaj, established by Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. In 1873, Savitribai started the practice of Satya Shodhak marriage, where couples took an oath of education and equality. In 1890, Jyotirao passed away. Defying all social norms, Savitribai lit his funeral pyre. She carried on Jyotirao's legacy and took over the reins of Satya Shodhak Samaj.
When the bubonic plague spread across Maharashtra in the 1890s, Savitribai opened a clinic for the plague victims in Hadapsar, Pune. And it was while carrying a 10-year-old plague victim to the clinic in her arms, she contracted the disease herself. On the 10th of March, 1897, Savitribai Phule breathed her last.
गंधर्वळे गंधित झाली फुले गोड गुणाची थोर मनाची माता सावित्री फुले.
Savitribai's life and work is a testament to social reform and female empowerment in Indian society. She remains an inspiration for many women's rights activists in modern times. We salute the great Indian reformer.
We also remember freedom fighter Veera Pandya Kattabomman, who was born on the 3rd of January 1760 in Thoothukudi district of Tamil Nadu. Veera Pandya's father, Jagaveera Kattabomman, was a Palayakarar, a governor appointed by the Nayaka dynasty, from whom Veera Pandya assumed the position of the 47th Palayakarar when he turned 30.
The British East India Company got rights to collect taxes from all the Palayakarars under the Nawab of Arcot's domain. Except for Veera Pandya, every other Palayakarar yielded to the diktat of the company. The British Army decided to attack Veera Pandya in 1799. However, Veera Pandya got the news about the attack through his informers and had prepared well in advance. When Veera Pandya was asked to surrender unconditionally, he roared.
We are the sons of the soil. We live with prestige, honor and dignity, and we let our soul die for the prestige, honor and dignity of our land. We don't bow down to the foreigners. We will fight until death.
Veera Pandya and his men held the fort valiantly against British troops. Later, the British, with the help from the king of the nearby kingdom of Pudukkottai, arrested Veera Pandya in 1799. He was sentenced to public execution. Veera Pandya Kattabomman was martyred on October the 16th, 1799. We salute the great freedom fighter.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
In today's episode of Dharohar, we will bring you the voice of the Member of Constituent Assembly, Vishwanath Das. Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewelry. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline's toll-free number 14404. Issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak Jago.
The External Services Division of All India Radio is expanding its transmission in 6 neighborhood languages: Dari, Pashto, Baluchi, Mandarin Chinese, Nepali and Tibetan from today. The broadcast timing in each of these 6 languages has been doubled from the existing 1 to 1.5 hours to 3 hours. The Jammu and Kashmir Week gets underway at the Expo 2020 at Dubai today. Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will showcase the investment opportunities in the West Asia region at the India Pavilion. As part of the week, Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir Manoj Sinha with other government officials will hold various meetings.
Sudan's Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok has announced his resignation amid political deadlock following a military coup. In a televised speech, Hamdok said a roundtable discussion is needed to reach a new deal. He was reinstated in November amid international pressure in a deal that called for an independent, technocratic cabinet under military oversight led by him.
A resurgent Indian cricket team will take on South Africa in the second test match at the Wanderers in Johannesburg today. India under Virat Kohli have already taken a 1-0 lead in the series, and if India wins this test, it will be the first ever Indian team to win a test series in South Africa.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi will have moderate fog. In Mumbai, the sky will be mainly clear. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Kolkata will also have mainly clear sky. Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong and Kohima will have partly cloudy sky. Gangtok will have partly cloudy sky with haze. Aizawl and Agartala will have fog in the morning, and Itanagar will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Newspapers today lead with the surge in COVID cases. The Asian Age headlines, jabs for 15 to 18-year teens begins today. India's COVID-19 cases jumps 21%. The Statesman informs COVID spike prompts fresh curbs in Bengal, schools, colleges to be shut, metro, local trains to be run at 50% capacity. With the laying of foundation stone for Major Dhyan Chand Sports University in Meerut, youth should consider careers in sport, Modi writes the Hindustan Times. With the year 2022 to see launch of several lunar robots, rockets, tests to study Moon's orbit surface, NASA others gear up for moonwalk, writes the Economic Times.
Before we end the bulletin, a reminder of today's question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Name the Indian revolutionary scholar associated with the Gadar Party and a professor of Sanskrit and philosophy in the universities of Berkeley and Stanford. WhatsApp your response on 8826546262 or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of Major Dhyan Chand Sports University at Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. Calls upon youth to consider career in sports. COVID vaccination of children between 15 and 18 years begins today. West Bengal government imposes new curbs amid Omicron threat. All educational institutions closed. Supreme Court suspends physical hearing of cases for 2 weeks from today. Centre sticks to 8 lakh rupees annual income criteria for reservation to economically weaker section candidates. Civil Aviation Ministry releases draft National Air Sports Policy for public feedback. And in cricket, second test match between India and South Africa begins in Johannesburg this afternoon. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.